Hi, I'm Mara Webster with In Creative Company, and today I'm so excited to be joined by the wonderful Leslie Bibb to talk all about the White Lotus season three. And one of the first things that I wanted to talk about was obviously coming into this world and kind of being able to see what Mike White created in the first couple of seasons. I was interested in how that helped you in terms of shaping your character, Kate, and just figuring out a lot of the details because I feel like he always writes such rich characters that have so much underneath the surface as much as in the dialogue.
Yes, but are you asking if I looked at the past seasons to dictate
Yeah,
or
just kind of like how the idea
inform?
of, yeah.
Um, I think you answered it because Mike writes such complex characters.
Yeah.
I trusted what was on the page and I didn't revisit anything. I was always such a huge fan of the show. So I loved it, but I didn't want to go back and have that in any way affect this journey because it felt new, because this character knew nothing of Hawaii White Lotus or the Italian White Lotus. So I purposefully didn't do that. But I think Mike's writing is so complex and it's kind of like what's in between the lines. You're saying, have a good day, but really it's never what you're saying. It's what you're not saying is what's really being said.
Right, because one of the things that struck me immediately with Kate and the fact that she's on holiday with her friends is anytime there's two of them alone together, they're always talking about the other person that's not there. And it's always this sense of, oh, we're talking about them. We love them so much. We think they're great. But
Right.
ultimately,
Yeah.
it's gossiping and judging them. And I wanted to just ask about getting to play with that sort of dynamic in a lot of those scenes.
It's such a like the lies we tell ourselves to justify our terrible actions, right? So I think all the women do it thinking they're doing it from a place about caring about the other women. But yet it's the worst way to do it. Just like none of them, because they're all living this sort of false truth. Like they're all saying like my life is perfect and I'm okay. And meanwhile, Lori's life is falling apart and I'm just trying to keep up with the Joneses and Jacqueline is living this movie star life, but it's not really that movie star of a life. It's like, it's not that famous and her marriage is kind of in a shambles, but like none of us go into the trip just being honest with each other about where we are. And I think Mike plays with, I mean, the whole season is about spirituality and death. And, you're in Thailand and you feel like they're always, I mean, we started the season doing a spirit blessing. Or we went to, or spirit, like doing a blessing at a spirit house. Sorry, not a spirit blessing, but doing a blessing at a spirit house. And, there's just truth and honesty and kindness and your best foot forward. And then you have these characters who are not being truthful, who it seems unkind with the way they speak of one another. But also it's like Mike's playing with this theme of why is it that we hurt the ones who we know? But it's like they would never do this to a new friend. They would never, if this was a new relationship, there's no way, because you would never have any friends. But somehow we can justify hurting the people who've been there the longest, who know us the best. And can you finally live your truth? I mean, I think these women have known each other since they were 8 years old and sort of, most idyllic self. And they've come so far from these fearless girls that they once were, and like these choices they've made in their lives and where they stand, and will they still love each other if they're really honest about who they are today? Because it's so different from where they started, these three
And I
women.
And I think your point about that history in their friendship as well is so interesting to see that at play in terms of they have such familiarity and they've known each other for so
Yeah.
long. and they kind of fall back into some of the rhythms of their childhood. And at the same time, they don't see each other very often. I think like
Nope.
Jacqueline and Laurie haven't seen each other in like 3 or 4 years in person. It's just been phone calls. And so, what was that space for you of finding the familiarity and the rhythms that even go back to when they were kids, and then the spaces where they're kind of figuring each other out as well?
I mean, always, again, I sound like a broken record. It's always on the page. There's never, like, as an actor, you never are fumbling through it. You're like, oh, how do I make something out of this? There's never that. And then not blowing smoke. It just isn't that way. There's never these scenes where you're like, I don't know what to do in this, because Mike really writes these complex, especially complex women. He always writes a complex character, but for all the female parts are always so delicious. I think the three of us, when we all got cast, Michelle and I got cast first, and then they looked, I think Carrie came in like a week later, like they were still looking. And as the minute she got cast, I remember Michelle and I were on a text thread, and then Carrie, like, it feels like hours after she got cast, texted both of us and was like, hey, here. And we just dove in and we came up with our backstory, and we started texting each other childhood photos of like what age we thought it was when we met. And because it was December when this happened, and we flew. I mean, Michelle got there like February 2nd. I got there February 3rd, and maybe Carrie got there February. It was like all within that. And we started the shoot. Here's the other thing. We started the ladies' villas. Everything you see in the ladies' villa are the first things we shot in Thailand. So we kind of were like blown out of the cannon first, and we were like, okay, let's figure this out. And then, it's also all this pressure. You're doing the White Lotus. So exciting. And it's so daunting because feels like big shoes. I've never been on a show that's this beloved. It's very rare that like shows can become beloved. But I'm like, this is just like, it's already got this built-in audience that like they have a voracious appetite for this show. And so, and doing the third season, because the cast changes, you don't want to let them down, and you don't want to drop the ball, and you also don't want to let Mike down. And so there is this pressure, and Leslie Bibb, very like Kate, is a perfectionist. Mike, when we were having a meeting, he was like, let's do an anagram test. So he made me do this. He made all of us do it, but he was like, you're so an 8. I know you're an 8, which is a perfectionist. He's like, you're so Kate. But it is, you want to do it. It's this incredible opportunity and this once in a lifetime opportunity. So you really don't want to drop the ball on it. So we really came in, I feel like the three women, very prepared. But I felt very lucky to have scene partners in Michelle Monaghan and Carrie Coon. I never felt unsupported, and I always felt like if I called one of them at any hour of the night, they would be there. And I don't know why that happened, because we didn't know each other. I was a very big fan of both of theirs before. I think Michelle is so incredibly talented. Everything she does, she's just got this natural authenticity to her that she's such a chill person in life, but she's a very relaxed actor. And then I had seen Carrie do Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. She played Honey, and I couldn't tell you who played who played Martha. Sorry to whoever was in that production, but Carrie, just her Honey, she bogarted the whole play. I couldn't take my eyes off of her. And I remember turning to my partner, Sam, and I was like, who is that Honey? Who is this actress? Like, she just blew my socks off. So I just wanted to be able to, if she threw me a ball, just throw it back, catch it, and throw it back to her. So I think I came in very excited to work with them, but also knowing that you better come in correct. And I think we all did. I hope we did. But it felt safe. And then we had Mike, who would never let you, he's very precise. He knows what he wants. So you never feel like he's going to drop you or they're just going to move on. He never moves on unless he's got it. And that's a really safe place to be. And the luxury of having one writer, one director, and they're the same person. That's, you've had this conversation with so many people. How often does that happen?
Almost never.
Never,
Yeah.
right? And so to have that and to have it be, and for season 1, season 2, season 3, like it's an extraordinary, it doesn't happen. It doesn't, so you do feel safe. You do feel that, but there is, to be honest, there is a pressure of just the White Lotus of it all. And, just wanting to like deliver the way the first 2 seasons delivered.
I totally understand that, but I feel like you all delivered so much in those
Yeah.
scenes. Like I genuinely was looking forward to seeing the 3 of you together each time.
Yeah. Isn't it? I think it's nice to see that, Mike, as I said, writes these great women. It did not, we never took for granted how lucky the 3 of us were. We all said there's only usually room for one of us in a job like this, usually. In a movie or a film. I mean, a movie or a TV show. And for all 3 of us to get to come and sort of almost look alike and have a similar, like seemingly similar essence, which is so clever of Mike, because at first glance, you're like, oh, I know who these women are. I know. Oh, they're gossiping. Oh, I know. It's like Real Housewives. It's like that. No, I get it. And then you're like, no, this is not who they are. And then slowly you start to peel the onion and you're just like, oh, these are 3 people who are so scared and so dishonest about where they are in their lives. It's hard. It's a hard thing to come in and say, this is what's happening in my life, especially like for Kate. I think if she can just control it, I think she thought like, this is what'll make my life. I understand that woman. Like if I have kids, I'll be happy. If I get married to that guy, I'll be happy. If I have money, I'll be happy. If I have this house, I'll be happy. If I have these clothes, I'll be happy. If I throw this party and do this and do it right, and if I show up for this person, and if I am this, I mean, she's constantly trying to be enough for Jacqueline. Jacqueline's approval means so much to her. And honestly, Lori's opinion is so important to her. And if she can do this, then in some way she will be enough. She'll be able to control it and nothing will seep out of the edges. And I feel like as the White Lotus progresses, it's like everything's seeping, I mean, Mike loves those edges,
No, I think exactly to that point, and with what you were talking about in terms of the way that he writes is also, it's this real art form in building tension, because it doesn't need to be these big exterior conflicts. It's all the subtleties underneath. And what I love about Kate is kind of seeing the way that she's very conflict averse, and she kind of wants to be the peacekeeper and the mediator. And, there's all these different ways that she'll
thanks for getting that, because people don't see that. They're always like, she's like a shit stir. And I was like,
she is, but she also doesn't want arguments around her.
Yes, but like she's doing it because it's like in her, it's doesn't make sense, but to her it makes sense. It's like this way of like, let's just keep it together. If it's again like this Instagram version life versus the real life, I don't know. I sometimes look at Instagram. I imagine like Kate like looks at that thing and these people who are like, this is my house and I made this vinaigrette and I did I mean, it's like, it's so hard. It's like all these women, it's hard enough. I feel like as women, they're told that they can have a career, they can be a great friend, they can be great at their job, they can be a great mother, they can be a great person, they can be a great philanthropist, they can be great sister, daughter, wife. You can't. It's just, there's not enough hours in the day to do it all. And I really think like Kate's really stretched thin. You know, she has this luxury of having a husband who's, you know, sold his company and they have money. But she, you know, that girl has a list and she's running that list and running that life, you know, because she's trying to keep the wheels on, you know? And I feel like there's just, I think that's why she goes to Thailand. Somebody asked, like, what do you think Kate's favorite food is in Thailand? And I was like, she doesn't eat Thai food. It's too scary. I mean, she's probably bought the entire CVS pharmacy with her. Like you know, I made a point that at every breakfast, I only eat fruit, but nothing you could wash. It's always like has a rind on it, or it's chicken and boiled rice. Like every meal, they were like, Leslie. And I was like, no, this woman is gonna like, she's brushing her teeth in bottled water. Her curiosity is dimmed as she's, you know,
Yeah.
made these choices in life that have landed her here. And she, you know, I think she is happy, but I do think she's looking back at that person she was with Jacqueline and Lori. I think they all are. The simpler time, this more honest time where kind of wild, you know, they were fearless and they've made these choices and they've all landed in these different plots for themselves and will they survive the 6 days and, you know, at the White Lotus? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, lastly, kind of off the back of what you were describing there as well, there's this aspect of you can be yourself, but you can't really be yourself. You know, there's a conversation about politics or the fact that she goes to church weekly and is very immersed in that community. And that's something that kind of surprises the other two. And so what was the space that you found of her kind of feeling like she can't fully be herself all the time?
Well, isn't that I think that's a great quality when I see people who live unapologetically. And I think as women, I find myself being like, sorry, I have to go to the bathroom. Sorry, I have to, and I think, you know, Kate is fearful to just sort of live unapologetically. And even if it is, I don't want to apologize for the luxuries I have in life, or I don't want to, whatever it is. And so, but I think that can be true with all of them. I think they are sort of apologizing or keeping something secret. They're not living their most full truth. And I want that for all of them. I mean, wouldn't that be such an easier place for us all to be if we just sort of were honest from the jump? But yeah, you know, I feel like she just, you know, she's like one of those people who's like, I don't want to rock the boat. I think like she just wants everyone just to be peaceful. And this trip, it just feels very important, I think, to Kate for this trip to be a success and for it not to be anything, to just have fun and it be this. And of course, in Mike White true fashion, it's anything but this. And that's why I think she's always like, you know, trying to sort of control everything. And I think that's her apologizing, is her of not wanting to let anybody down or wreak havoc, or, you know, it's like when I say, let's go here. And I'm like, well, we could just do yoga. It's what she knows. It's like she takes the like path of least resistance and the safest choice. It's probably my least favorite quality of Kate is her lack of curiosity, but it's really fun to sort of play her because she's so scared of everything, you know, and she's bottling down all these, she's sort of like, it's fun to play somebody who is trying to keep it here. And then it's just, you know, as every episode goes and then it erupts. Literally, there's a scene where it's like an eruption and it's chaos. I mean, we're literally running for our lives.
Well, the details that you've put into this character, like always, are so fantastic, and I love.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leslie.